Going live. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order Tuesday, February the 17th, 2026. Please note there will be an opportunity during the meetings for citizens to address the town council when the mayor, I, declare public comments open. We request that anyone addressing the council sign up, approach the podium when called, state your first and last name. Kim, if you will please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Here.
Ms. Quetch.
Here.
Ms. Pillion.
Here.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Present.
And Mayor Anderson.
Here. If everyone will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, if I could get an approval of today's agenda, please.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Now we're going to do approval of minutes, and we can either do these all together or we can do these individual. It doesn't matter. Choice of the council, whichever you all like.
I think Mr. Webb was absent.
I was absent on the
15th.
second.
Okay, let's just go each one individual. So we'll go January the 1st, 2026, which was the retreat.
Fifth.
The 5th, excuse me, which was the retreat. If I could get a motion for the approval of the minutes for the January the 5th, 2026 retreat meeting.
Go ahead. So moved.
Yeah.
second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Now, if we could get an approval for the minutes of our regular council meeting, January the 5th, 2026.
Move to approve those.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
I'll have to abstain from that one. I'll let the record reflect I was absent on the 15th.
No, this is the 5th, dear.
Oh,
The-
it's the
the
5th.
fifth.
I apologize.
fifth.
Yeah, I hit the wrong one. Aye.
So your answer is A.
Yes.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Now, if I could get an approval for the minutes for January the 15th, 2026. If someone would like to make a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Like a broken record, let the the record reflect that I was absent on the 15th.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye. All right, now moving down the list, we're going to open up the floor for public comments. I don't think we have anyone signed up for public comments today, or we have anyone signed up for public hearing as well, right, Kim?
Correct.
All right. So next on our agenda is going to be proclamations. We have one proclamation today, and that's a proclamation honoring my main man, Steve Troutman, Director of Finance, on his retirement. And I'm going to ask Councilman Amanda Pillion to please read that for me, please.
Whereas the town of Abingdon has been well served by the dedication, integrity, and leadership of its Director of Finance over the past 5 years. And whereas during this time, the Director of Finance has faithfully overseen the town's financial operations, ensuring responsible stewardship of public funds, transparency in fiscal reporting, and adherence to the highest standards of accountability. And whereas through sound financial planning, prudent budgeting, and diligent oversight, the Finance Director has contributed to the town's stability, growth, and ability to deliver essential services to its residents. And whereas Mr. Trotman's professionalism, expertise, and collaborative spirit have strengthened the town's administration and fostered trust among elected officials, staff, and the community. And whereas his well-known appreciation for orderly columns, perfectly balanced formulas, and spreadsheets of remarkable elegance has set a gold standard for fiscal organization, proving that true beauty can, in fact, be found in a flawlessly structured workbook. And whereas, whether reconciling accounts or refining a budget forecast, Mr. Trotman has demonstrated that behind every successful municipality is someone who truly understands the power of a pivot table. And whereas, upon the occasion of his retirement, it is fitting to recognize a career marked by commitment, excellence, public service, and an enduring belief that every problem in life can be solved with just one more tab in the spreadsheet. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and town council of the town of Abingdon do hereby extend their deepest appreciation and gratitude to Steve Trotman, Director of Finance, for 5 years of outstanding service to the town and its residents. And be it further proclaimed that this second day of February 2026 is hereby proclaimed as Steve Trotman Day in the town of Abingdon in recognition of the lasting contributions and positive impact made through faithful public service. In witness whereof, the mayor and town council have hereunto set their hands and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this second day of February 2026.
Steve, if you and your family would come forward, please. Excuse me, Ken.
I bet I know who wrote that.
That's a pretty good
Did the other Amanda write that, I assume?
She had something to do, yeah, a little bit of both, yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Come closer.
Come closer.
Come on up. Oh,
Ah.
sorry. Yes, sir. Hey, you might, wherever you'd like. You want to press this way or chance. You got your paperwork and get out the door.
We do have some more moving to do. I can't thank you all enough. I'm not sure really who the first part of the proclamation was referring to. It didn't sound too much like me. Second part probably does. But I just want to say thank you to the town, to the council, to Mike, all of the staff. My success here is only because I had what I consider to be the absolute best finance team, not just in Abington, but with any finance team I've ever worked with. 5 years is not a long time, and you've got staff here that have been here for decades with dedicated work, and I've had the pleasure of working with all of those folks. So I greatly appreciate this, but this is definitely a team effort. And I'd love to stay longer, but we're in the process of moving out to the county. Has nothing to do with my retirement. But still in Abingdon, just be with a different zip code. But you'll still see us around, and I want to thank Mike very much, and Kim, everybody, for all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to say that the bulk pickup, get it all taken care of here before you move. Once you move, it ain't gonna be. Yeah, so I always joked about like the golden sandbag award.
There we go.
We couldn't actually get gold, so we got the next best thing.
Budget cut?
Yeah, we got gold, we got some gold air for you. And Kim was able to source this. I won't make you put it on.
I wish he would. I wish he would put it on. I wish he would.
It's fitting of Caesar.
Put that on, Steve. Put it on, Steve.
Yeah. It's,
My man.
oh,
My
wow.
man.
But, yeah, thanks for everything you've done. It's been amazing. So, appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah.
So much.
We'll
Yeah.
let you take the gold tag.
Yeah. See, it's
Just
not-
what I need, moving
it
more
don't-
stuff.
It don't seem like long, but when you see Meadow, then you realize how long it's been. So, pretty amazing.
Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as I said before, we have no one signed up for public hearing, so we'll go ahead and close that. We have no resolutions today. We have a couple of first reading of ordinance, and the first will be the ordinance to repeal, amend, and reenact Article 2, Sewer and Sewage Disposal, including versions 2, 74-36, and Division 4 Wastewater Discharge, 74 through 92, 74 through 93, 74 through 95, 74 through 110, 74 through 128, 74 through 141, 74 through 143, 74 through 158. Whew, that's a lot. 74 through 160-162, 74-167 through 168, 74 through 182, 74 through 185, 74 through 207, and 74 through 213, relating to pretreatment standards, permits, monitoring, reporting, inspections, enforcements, and prohibiting discharge. And I'm going to ask Mike Surratt if he would come forward, please. Yes, not today. Not today. We're just going to say 74 through, and through some.
You wanted to read it? You wanted to read it?
We can read it, but I don't know how much time you got me.
You're good.
Some of us will be drawing Social Security. So, Mr. Mayor, council members, little history on this is in our agreement with Washington County Service Authority, there is a stipulation in there that says that the town will conduct a local limit study for our sewer ordinances, which we engaged with, Mike got here, got with a engineering firm to do the study, CHA out of Blacksburg. They conducted the study and identified several items in there that we needed to update for our local limits, which is the basis of all of this, to include the pretreatment side of it. Thanks to the town attorney, Cam, he also made some recommendations and updates to the Virginia Code and the federal EPA regulations that need to be updated in our ordinance. So that is the gist version of the updates to this ordinance, is that we need to update our ordinance because it has been a little bit out of date from the EPA codes, the state codes, and updating our local limits for chemicals that go through our sewer plant.
Does anybody have any questions for it?
I mean, it's a lot of reading. I know if y'all read all that, like I did, you're like, this is a lot. But it is just some updates to our existing ordinance and amending some of the items in there to bring it up to today's standards and requirements.
Shall this proposal be rejected, anyone? If there's no comment, we'll move to the second reading on March the 2nd, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Now we have a first reading of ordinance, and that is going to be the ordinance to repeal, amend, and reenact Chapter 30, Environment, Article 2, Noise. And I'm going to ask Mike Cochran to present that if he would.
Yes, and Chief Holbrook's in the back in case it needs further explanation. But with the noise ordinance, the way the outgoing ordinance was crafted, it was reliant heavily upon, there wasn't any quantifiable measure. It was all opinion-based or what that person interpreted. And there was a request to basically to bring it up to something that was more equitable or able to be measured, so that there was some understanding of what the noise levels are and what they should be. And so that was the gist behind this. The majority of the communities in the state and what we've been able to find from around the country, even in metropolitan areas, they'll have very similar limits. And then what we found is during the process that there needed to be an adjustment for ambient noise. And so that was added to this to allow the officer on scene to adjust for ambient noise. And like when we did one test, it happened to be very wet out, and then there was a lot of cars going by, so it threw off the numbers. And so, by looking further in what other places do to allow for the noise, was they allowed the officer, the number was between 5 and 10 decibels. And I can only tell you sound is slightly different, so while the limits are like 55 or 60, whatever the numbers are, 6, while it would appear to be not a lot, it actually is in practicality, the way the noise is measured. And so the officer would, if there's a lot of background noise, it's incumbent upon the officer to actually make sure what they're measuring, because if they're out there and people honking their horns and you're not there for a horn honking complaint, you would have to adjust for that. And so, and then the other issue that we had was the way it was initially worded had to do with the measurement itself. So we have a decimeter, and it's a calibrated decimeter. He's got a little calibration thing for it. What to do for the duration. So some places have it where it's 2 minutes, some places do up to 10 minutes. And what we have selected was a 3-minute measurement period. And then the decimeter that the chief selected, it Bluetooths to your phone, and it gives you the readouts. So the officer would actually have a readout that would show you what the measurements are, the highs, the lows, and the time period. And then that's something that could be given to either the complainant or or the property, whoever wants to see a copy of it would be recorded for that. And the nice thing with having the measurement is it's quantifiable. So you're able to have, like the decimeters, most people's phones actually do it too, but to have it be ready for court, you have to have the fancy version. But the nice thing is if you have someone who's having an event or whatnot and they're trying to keep the noise level down, they can measure their own. And it's just a handier way to make it happen. And then the other thing that it does, the ordinance also allows for is, like if a car's going by, and since spring seems to be coming, even despite what the groundhog said, spring seems to be here, and I hear them and they go by. Drives me crazy because they're like people are right around with their windows down right now and blaring. It's really loud, but there's provision in there that allows for, I think it's 50 feet. If it's plainly audible by 50 feet away, then the officer, if it's a car driving by, the officer doesn't have to follow them for 3 minutes. They just are able to write it. That is a violation. So, but the ordinance, it's a complete, it's a departure from the way it was being done, but it's in keeping with how most other jurisdictions that enforce noise is in keeping with how they're written elsewhere. So,
Did everyone get a chance to see the device that the chief had? Derek, did you get a chance to see that? Chief Holbrook, if you could bring that up and let Councilman Derek Webb take a look at what we've got here. I don't think that he got a chance to look at that. And if you want to add anything to what Mike Cochran said, Chief, you're more than welcome to go right ahead.
Sure, I think one of the things would maybe a hypothetical what this would look like as far as enforcement wise, compared to what we have now to what we would have if you had the decibel levels in there. So now it would be an officer coming out, let's say on adjoining property. We would use the verbiage plainly audible, which I know Mr. Bell probably gets concerned with because it's pretty broad. This narrows it down to a specific number. So the officer would go to the neighboring property, the person that complained. They would use the sound decibel meter to take the reading, and I know some of you all came out and we actually demonstrated that a little bit. Even before that, the device has to be certified by the independent company to make sure that it is accurate. So each year, the state code requires us to send it back to make sure it's certified. A little bit more work on us administratively. However, we want to make sure we get it right anytime we enforce anything. In addition, it comes with a field calibrator. So before and after each use, we would calibrate the device to make sure that it is accurate. So we would make sure that it's accurate before we enforce the code, and it would make sure it's accurate afterwards as well. So that way we know that our numbers that we are getting are good numbers. With the Bluetooth capability, it can record the sample. So what we would do is we would stand there, we would hold the device up, and we would take a 3-minute recording. And that 3-minute recording, every second, it logs the decibel level at that point. And we would go with the average. And then if there's ambient noise, the code would allow some of us to go up to about 6 decibel levels before enforcement action. That way we make sure that we are enforcing somebody that's clearly violating the noise ordinance. And with any new code, there would be some educational piece to this that we would absolutely go out and educate first. Education before enforcement, I think, is critical. We want people to comply, and we want the quality of life here to be great. So we would do education before enforcement as well.
I appreciate you saying
course.
that, education before enforcement, because, you know, like, this is something that's gonna be fairly new to the town of Abingdon, and to those that have businesses or have neighbors that are playing music louder than should be at reasonable times. So I think that's a well way to put it. I don't know if does anyone have any questions for the town manager or the police chief, John Hope? Okay, I'm gonna ask, should this proposal be rejected from anyone up here on the town council?
Let me make a few comments about it, if I could, please.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I would say that personally, I feel like there is certainly a need to prohibit many of the acts that are described in this proposed ordinance. I also am cognizant of the situation that brought this to light and that has resulted in this proposed ordinance being in front of us. I have concerns. I think that there is a compromise that can be struck, and whether this ordinance in front of us is the correct compromise, I'm really not sure as I sit here right now. I've read over it. I've read over the 2 versions that were in the packet, and then as we sat down here at council table today, we have another version of that. I keep in my mind, certainly when we talk about compromise, that we need to care for residential needs and that sort of thing, and people will have certainly a right to the quiet enjoyment of their property. And if that is to the exclusion of music, then so be it. But I also understand that those people that run businesses in our town, many times they depend upon these things to, by these things I mean music and entertainment, in order to keep their restaurants and businesses going forward. I was told this week, and I'm not sure of the accuracy, but that in the last year in Abingdon and Bristol, we have had 22 restaurant closures. We have had 2 more in the town of Abingdon in the last 30 days. So we're up to 24 restaurants and businesses that have closed. Now, I don't attribute that to noise necessarily, but I would say that being able to present entertainment in a proper fashion at a proper level is certainly important to a lot of our restaurants and businesses in the town. And I don't want to pass an ordinance that will hinder that to an extent that will drive restaurants out of the town. Again, I come back to what I said earlier. I think it's important that residents have the right to the quiet enjoyment of their property. There's got to be a compromise there somewhere. I'm not satisfied that this ordinance does it. I looked at several of the provisions in it that give me concern, just little things, for example. This ordinance prohibits blowing your horn for any reason with the exception of emergency needs. I don't know about you, but I go down the road and I see the mayor and I'll toot my horn at him.
Well, if you don't, he's gonna toot at you.
Exactly. Well, it's prohibited by this ordinance because it's not an emergency to be able to say hello to the mayor going down the street. It also provides that a violation of this is a Class 2 misdemeanor. Now, it specifies the fine is a minimum of $300 for a first offense, but a Class 2 misdemeanor in Virginia chief, it carries 6 months in jail. I don't think we want to put something like that out on the street, even though this ordinance restricts that, but it can't be a Class 2 misdemeanor and restrict what those provisions are under Virginia law. I think it needs some more work, is what I'm saying. I think it needs a lot more work. And I think we need to go through it very carefully as a council and consider worst-case scenarios in it before we just say, let's approve this ordinance. Now, I realize this is first reading, but on my calendar, March 2nd,
March 2nd.
March 2nd comes pretty quickly.
Yes.
And I have those concerns, and I wanted to voice those today.
And I appreciate you voicing those concerns, Vice Mayor Austin, because, if everyone doesn't know by now, I do own a restaurant in the town of Abingdon, and I do rely on the nighttime entertainment. I wouldn't necessarily be the one to vote, but I am glad to be part of this, of what's going on, because, there are a lot of businesses. My business in general doesn't rely on entertainment, but my employees that I employ at my restaurant, they rely on this entertainment. They rely on this music scene. And to me, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not wrong, we are an artsy town. Music is art, and art is entertainment. So I want everyone on the council to please take that into note when we make these changes and we vote on this ordinance, because this is people that are in our community. This is their livelihood. And I just want everyone to know that. There's people that have different businesses that they run, but this is something that is very important to me, my business partners, and to other restaurants that are in the town of Abingdon, or anyone that's planning on doing any kind of entertainment business in the town of Abingdon. So I appreciate you saying that, Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Austin.
And let me say in response to that very quickly, I certainly appreciate the circumstances that you've described with your restaurant.
Yes, sir.
But I don't want anybody to think that my comments were just aimed at that. I mean, we have several
Yeah.
restaurants in town that rely upon music and entertainment
Yes.
that this could affect.
And
I'd like to point out too, you've already mentioned this, we have to consider the residents also.
Absolutely.
And so there has to be a balance, and, but I feel like that with these limits on noise, that is the balance, that we have to balance to where it's good for everyone.
yes.
Well, and council passes the ordinances, so it's you guys' ordinance, so, we've been sort of trying to strike a balance just among ourselves, but we need input from you guys, so if you disagree with what we drafted, then, you guys are the ones who have to vote on it.
And I would,
Lots of, and to Mr. Austin's point, some of the things that you've mentioned have been there for decades. And so there might be things that we didn't look at directly that need to be updated, just like we had to update the EPA things. But horn honking has probably been there since there were horns to honk.
I would say.
yeah.
So if there are other things that y'all see that are outdated, then we can look at those too.
And I am saying this, hoping that people are out there listening. I know we don't have a whole lot of people in the courtroom, but anyone that has interest in this, please reach out to your council members, reach out to me, reach out to the town manager, voice your opinion. Please come, let us know what you think about this before we go any further with what we've got going on. Please reach out to your council members and yay or nay with what you think about the ordinance with the noise.
And I've already said this once, but, as far as the residents is concerned, if it's not good for you, then I represent you, and I, need to do what's good for you. I mean, the same as if it was my home, I want to do for you what I'd want for myself, so.
Yeah, and so like the Mr. Austin's point, the statute, some of the stuff that we bring into these comes right out of Virginia statute. So Virginia state statute says it's against the law to use your horn for any other use other than just we don't enforce that. I mean, I don't know in your career how many times you wrote a ticket for it, but it's probably close to zero. So there's a lot of stuff that's just carryover, because just you get it from the statutes. So it's just, we bring the stuff in. But no, like a couple of years ago, we outlawed, or we changed the ordinance for barking dogs for people that work a night shift. And have we written any tickets on that? Yes, I mean, there's things in there, but the officers are very reasonable when it comes to doing the enforcement. But the 6 decibel adjustment for ambient noise, that was identified as basic. I mean, Amanda, you know the noise, but 6 decibels on top of ambient it's effectively doubling the noise level. So it adjusts for that. But certainly, if there's things that we need to adjust more, that's fine too. And I don't think anybody needs to do 60 days in jail for playing music too loud. So we probably need to adjust the fines too. But
Well, and I think the goal is exactly what other people have said, is
Sure.
to strike a balance, and I'm a big fan of putting some numbers to this, so it is objective instead of subjective. So if somebody says this noise is too loud at my home, then we can say, yes, it might seem too loud for you, but it's within our ordinance. And so it doesn't leave it up to our policemen and law enforcement to decide what is too loud. We are giving them some guidelines. And the way I understand it, you're not going to be out patrolling the streets and be like, oh, they're having a party in their backyard and we're going to come measure the decibels. It's going to be more like if I'm throwing a party and it's bothering Cam and he calls and says, hey, the pillions are out of control, and then you would come and measure the noise. So not that I plan on doing that anytime soon, but you never know. Yeah, you never know. But anyway, I think that the whole point is to take some of the subjectiveness out of the situation and make it so that it's something that's quantifiable and that we can say, this is actually happening and this, you need to do something about it. And and we had a conversation, the mayor and I did, and I was like, as a business owner, if you're having an event at your place, then it gives you a quantifiable level,
Yeah.
so you can know, hey, ahead of time, I'm within the legal limits, and so if somebody complains, you can say, I've already checked on this, I'm doing it all right, and so it protects the business owners as well as the residents, and I think that's the goal here, not to make it harder for you guys or to make it make it less fair for one party or the other. I think it's to make it as fair as possible for everyone.
Well said.
so
That being said, I'd also
yeah.
like to get this done because
Yeah.
we've been working on it since September. So I think we need to do it right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speed it up at the cost of doing the wrong thing. But I'd like to see us wrap it up soon.
And I'm with you on that, but like Vice Mayor Austin said, just some of the wording in there, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time for us to go through this, to actually get it right, to appease the businesses and to please the residents as well too. And I appreciate everyone's hard work on this. I appreciate the start where we've came to start on this, but I still think we need just a little bit more fine tuning before we can actually, from what I'm telling from everyone on the council, before we can agree on what's going on. We just need to fine tune a little bit.
Well, fortunately, I don't think it's a matter of urgency in like the next 30 days to do it. There are dumb people that are playing music outdoors right now.
Yeah, it's not the
But
time right now.
I totally agree that, we've been looking at this long enough and we need to get to the bottom and get something adopted. But again, I'm just not sure that this is it.
Sure. I mean, if you have a model ordinance that you can reference it to, just let me know, because we try to most of our stuff, as you know, comes from rarely. I mean, I know Cam doesn't independently come up with the stuff. We always grab it from other places and see what the standards are elsewhere. But if there's anywhere else that has a better one that we can borrow liberally from, by all means, whatever. I'm just trying to help solve a problem. But,
Absolutely, and I think that's what we're all aimed at doing.
Yeah. Mhm.
And as I said a moment ago, there's a compromise that can be struck, and I think it's necessary, it's needed, but whether this is it, I'm not sure.
Is there any other comment? If not, we'll move to the second reading on March the 2nd.
And before, I'll get with Wayne beforehand. If you want, I'll
Be happy to.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. And while, I think I heard Councilwoman Pillion say you're not going to be at the March,
I will not
Second.
be in attendance because the indoor track team will be running at Liberty and my
I
son
I
will
heard
be there,
you say
yeah.
that. And I respect that. I'm glad you're going to go, but Mayor Anderson may not be able to vote on this issue, and it might be down to 3 of us, and I'd like to have everyone involved in it. That's why I mentioned that.
And I don't know if we can arrange for me to join virtually and vote virtually, then I'm certainly pleased to do that because I think he'll run earlier in the day.
Just a heads up, I may be in Chicago that week. I have not heard for sure yet for work, so there's a chance, 50-50 right now, that I could not be here too.
We can move it to the mid-March if that works. That'll give us a little more time, too.
To the mid-month meeting.
Would that be okay with
I
everyone
like
on
that
council?
idea.
I'll give
That's
everybody
better.
some time since it's a short month anyway.
Kim, is that okay? All right. So we'll just say we'll move the second reading of the ordinance to repeal and amend and reenact Chapter 30 Environmental, Article 2 Noise to the March, what meeting was that?
The mid-month meeting.
The
I do not
mid-month
have the date
meeting in
front of me.
March. I don't have the date on that. I will in a second.
Well, in theory, I will. Hold on.
That's when you're going to that meeting. We did schedule mid-month. right? March.
Sorry, my calendar.
The 19th,
March 19th.
March 19th at 2:30 is that one it's set right now?
Oh, yeah, there it
March
is.
19th.
Sorry.
We'll have that second reading on
March
March the 19th.
Yep.
Is that okay with everyone on council? All right. I don't think we have any second reading of ordinance today. No consideration of bids. Now we're to new business. I don't think we have any new business. Old business. We'll move down to miscellaneous business and communication from our town manager, Mike Cochran. And first it'll be the presentation of the annual report of the Sinking Springs Cemetery Committee.
And when I think cemeteries, I think Donna Marie.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, Dong Hei Fat Choi, everybody, happy Chinese New Year. Happy Mardi Gras.
Wing dang doodle.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm here to present the annual report for the Sinking Springs Cemetery. It was a very quiet year over there this year, which I'm glad to see. We only lost, as far as I know, 1 tombstone. That was because a tree limb caught it. It was one of the perfect stones to whacked it right in the middle. But anyway, so we're working on that. Adopt a plot was good this year. We had 43 plots, about half.
How many do you usually have adopted, Donna?
About that number. We're
About-
holding pretty
Steady.
even. Yeah, pretty steady. No new burials over there this year. Now the big news is we are looking to put in a nature meadow down at the lower part where the creek bed is. I actually went by there yesterday. There was actually water in the creek bed. I was amazed. But down in that lower area, that is supposed to be floodplain, where especially over in the Scott Division, the one that's next to the Little League fields up through there. We're looking at that to put in a nature meadow, and for several reasons for that. Number one, William King is getting with all their big landscaping up on the hill and all the good things that are happening up there. They're doing a lot of, they're going to be doing, all of their landscaping is going to be natural. It's going to be in the meadow. It's going to be native, Virginia natives that will be planted up there. And it just seems like a really nice thing to have that kind of come down to our area. It is an area that typically just gets mowed. And as we know, our mowing bill here in town ain't cheap. So if we can find a way that I'm looking at, that we can have an area that we don't have to mow, don't have to weed eat, don't have to do anything to, then yay team. It would also be a nice use for that area. As far as we know, no one is buried there because it is kind of floodplainish. We're going to check and double check to make sure of that. But I've talked with Frost Funeral Home, and Jack is not aware of anybody in that section at all. I don't know how much ground is down there. Is it an acre or two?
Not sure.
Gabe,
Yeah.
do you know by any chance, Gabe, how much?
An acre, okay. Okay. So about an acre down there. To have it, like I said, done in Virginia natives, it would be pretty cool. We had Nick Proctor from Nature Conservancy come and kind of lead us along and tell us what the process is. And it is, I think it is very doable. So it's something I would love to see, and especially if we can have something that kind of takes that whole hillside and has this lovely, it starts up at William King and then continues down into that part of the cemetery. I think it'd be lovely. I can see little birdie houses up there and maybe a walking trail eventually and all of that, and I just think it would be absolutely grand. So anyway, Mike Cochran has been very helpful in helping me think through this process too. So we're looking at having that done. Another thing that we're getting ready to do this year, and actually Gabe has started this, thank you so much, Gabe, is, do you remember the old wolf signs that we had out on the street?
Yes.
We're going to repurpose them and use them in the cemetery so that we can have directional signs, because we always talk about first circle, second circle, Scott Division, Penn Division, blah, 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 and everybody's going, where is that? We want to take the wolf signs, put them up at strategic points, do some color coding so that we know that this, the burgundy one is the Penn section. We've got the signs. I think we've got the money actually already in our small cemetery budget to finish making metal signs that would be the inserts for that. So I think it would make a very nice addition. Let's see, anything else? Gabe has been wonderful about continuing documentation about who we got buried over there, and and getting the history together. I'm interested in seeing what Virginia 250, what kind of attention is going to be brought to our cemetery, because I think we've got 10 of our 12 Revolutionary War folks buried there. So we're going to have additional information for them, for at least for the next couple of years, for people, especially for people coming into town, to be able to look at that and say, oh, we were connected with that. So that's pretty much my report. Mainly, I really want to thank Mike Cochran and Gabe Christofari for exceptional work. They're lovely to work with.
Thanks.
Chef kisses.
I'll send you a check.
No problem, for cash. Anyway, thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank
Donna.
you, Donna.
And so one of the things we are getting, Gabe has got a hold of the professor who ran the program where we had the student flight with the infrared, was it?
Come on up, Gabe.
So before we plant a bunch of plants, we want to make sure we're not planting them over things. Yeah.
So on the eastern section of the cemetery, where in our nomination form said hundreds of unmarked graves were there, we had a graduate student, Noah Hall, do a project there, and we found that had 800 unmarked graves over there, and that was done through drone imagery, LiDAR, infrared, all that stuff, so we didn't have to dig anything. The same will be done on the western section, where we'll be ensuring that we don't plant anything or do anything over somebody's grave, so this way we're respectful of who's ever over there. If it's just empty space, to cut down on mowing and everything, we can have this flower garden that kind of mixes in with the rural cemetery movement that's kind of making it in sort of like a park almost. So we're trying to keep in keeping with everything there. So they'll be coming in March or April, because that's when you kind of get the distinct temperatures to see if anything's over there. But in terms of what we've found so far, we don't have any inclination to think that, but we just want to double check.
Thank
you, Gabe.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then, thanks, Gabe and Don Marty. The next item is the banner display request from the library. these will diminish because every time we have one that wasn't in the budget, it wasn't on last year's, I had to bring it back to y'all. And so this is from the library. They wanted to put one up for their winter book sale, and the form is in the back. And that actually is next week, I think it looks like.
February the 21st through
Yeah.
the 28th.
Yeah, the winter book sale.
2006.
And if you have spent a lot of money on books, it's actually a pretty good deal. They have a lot of books there for a pretty good price. But so there will be a consideration for that one. We need a motion or a.
I move we allow the permit for the Friends of the Washington County Library for their winter book sale banner.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
All right, thanks. And then the next one is consideration of transferring $250,000 from the budget fund balance into urban maintenance. As you recall, during the budgeting process, we removed the normal funding. I think it was typically $300,000, but we removed that from the budget. And as we finished this last year's budget, instead of using fund balance, we actually added, we didn't spend the $250 and we added $300 back to the fund balance. So and it's just under 300, but the request would be is that if we spend the $250, we're still adding 40 and change to the fund balance. But that would give you the urban maintenance money in this year's budget. So the streets that aren't covered by the VDOT program would be able to be fixed and just repaired with that money. And it sounds like a lot of money, and it's not bad, but you don't get a ton for it. Blacktop isn't cheap, I guess is the issue. But so anyway, that's that request there. And that was, I think you had actually made that comment during the budgeting process that we would take an adjustment if we needed to. So this will put us, we'd still be budget positive, but allow us to get the urban maintenance done.
With that being said, from the town manager, Mike Cochran, do I have a motion of the consideration of transferring the $2,500 from the budget fund to the balance of the urban maintenance?
I'd make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you would please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
Thank you. And then the next one, this is as we do through grants, we had put in for a $107,000 grant, $107,575. If you go up towards Taylor's Hill, across from the cemetery, there's Wheeler Street, and there's like a fence around it, and it looks awful. That's our stormwater basin, and we had gotten a grant in order to do some work with that basin. And then there's a construction project on Wheeler Street that's adjacent. It's not Wheeler Street, it's the next street over. Once it makes the curve or whatever, that small housing development's going to go in there, and they'll be able to use part of this drainage basin as part of that. So the Wellspring Foundation is actually going to pay the town's match, so it doesn't cost us anything. And then the hope is that when they redo this, I want to get rid of the fence and make it look more like a pond rather than just a ditch. Right now, if you go by it, it looks like the government owns it. It's just not that visually attractive. Yeah. But if we can get rid of the chain link fence and actually make it look like a small pond, it would actually be attractive, and it would add to the neighborhood and not do what it's currently doing. But again, this is budget neutral. Just need acceptance of that.
Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the Department of Environmental Quality grant of the amount of $107,000?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Ms. Pillion.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
All right, and then the last thing is our clerk of council, Kim, is very active with the Clerks Association, and what you'll find is, as you look at it, is there's a whole lot of municipal clerks in the state, and it's an association that needs some, it's a very good organization, but they don't have a huge budget, and they have a conference coming up, and so the request would be is that, you know, if the council would consider sponsoring the conference she's got coming up in April, and where's it at?
Yes, it's in Blacksburg. We tried to get it in Abington, but the week did not work out, so.
Yeah, they said it
it'll
was
be
too
in
far to
Blacksburg,
drive.
Which will help a lot of the Southwest Virginia
Yeah.
municipalities.
I'll make a motion that we help sponsor that.
What is, excuse me, what's the cost?
She didn't put a cost in, but I think 2,500 would,
That would be great.
that would be,
I would second that.
500, yeah.
So I have a motion to consider the sponsorship of the 2026 Virginia Municipal Clerks Association Conference, and that was made by Donna, and then it was seconded by Mr. Webb. Any further discussion?
Mayor, would you also state the amount? for the record?
$2,500. $2,500, is that okay with everyone on council?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So Kim, if you would, no further discussion, if you'd please call roll.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin,
Aye.
and Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
Thank you.
and then for the rest of my comments, I don't think the groundhog was correct. It certainly seems to be a lot warmer than it was supposed to be. Anyway, no, I think everything's plowing along fine. We've had just a busy month. I mean, I couldn't say enough about Public Works. Those guys were out there getting after it in the craziest of weather, but we took care of it. And you know, no, we still have more salt.
There's plenty of salt from
Yeah,
the
we had a whole lot of salt before. So, yeah, I think we'll probably actually buy some this year. But we do have a mountain of salt over there by the waste treatment plant. But yeah, they certainly spread enough of it. But it's much appreciated. I know I didn't realize quite the difference until I had to go about 2 miles out into the county and realize quickly the difference between living in town and not living in town. So, no, I do appreciate what they've done out there. So, thanks. But, yeah, that's the extent of my comments right now.
That's one thing that I'd like to add to what the town manager, Mike Cochran, said. I've got numerous calls from residents in the town of Abington just showing their support and their thanks to our public works. Through this terrible weather that we had for the past couple of weeks, it seemed that everyone was pleased with the way that we handled the snow, the way that we handled the streets. A lot of business people has reached out to me. We've included getting the sidewalks for everyone that has a business along Main Street, from the police, if I'm not mistaken, the police office, all the way up to Girl in the Raven. I've got nothing but big ups to Public Works for that, and thank you all for that. And one thing that I want to throw out, last night, and for everyone in here, I know some know and some don't know, we had the passing of a fellow employee, a town employee by the name of Glenn Foster. Glenn Foster gave probably 25 plus, if I had to say maybe 30 years, to the town of Abington. I don't know how the council feels about this, but me particularly, he is someone that is in my neighborhood, in my life, in my businesses, the tavern and Dwayne and Company, daily. I don't know if there's a proclamation that we could come up with, or if there is a day that we could claim Glenn Foster Day here in the town of Abington, because I just feel like Glenn Foster gave us his all, and this would just be a nice kind gesture to give back, to have maybe a Glenn Foster Day or a proclamation honoring Glenn Foster.
He was certainly a gentleman. I'll echo those comments, and always thought the world of him. He knew a lot about the town. In fact, I've heard people say that we didn't need sewer map locations, that he could just go out and point out where things were. He was that kind of person, very friendly, very well liked in the community, and I would agree with you, Mr. Mayor. We should honor that to some extent.
I don't know what we'd have to do, Kim. What would be the process to us having to do that?
Yes, we can certainly get ready for March 19th, mid-month. I'll try to get up with his wife,
All right.
work out the arrangements.
Yes,
for them to be
ma'am.
present.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry.
November 1st was his birthday.
November the 1st is his birthday.
Timmy, am I wrong? 52 years with the town?
52 years?
52
Was it
years.
52? I thought it was 30, excuse me. 52. Thank you, Tammy.
That's 20% of the town's age.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Thank you, Tammy Baldwin and Mike for that, because I didn't know, but I knew it was 25 plus. You know, my father done a little bit of time with the town of Abington, and I know that him and Glenn were tight, but my father moved on to Westinghouse and Glenn stayed with the town. He's just been a figure of this town for years, so thank you. Thank you for those dates.
I'll keep you updated.
Please do. Thank you. With that, we'll go to Vice Mayor Austin. Do you have anything that you would like to comment on?
I don't have any additional comments. I echo what people have said up here already today with how the streets were cleaned and taken care of. It's just remarkable. And as Mr. Cochran said, you could tell the moment you got outside the corporate limits of the town of Abington. Good job.
Amanda,
I'll just echo those remarks.
Donna,
I don't have anything.
Derek?
Just want to point out, they were talking about street maintenance and removal of snow. Our staff are so serious. This is truly a compliment. I'm sitting in my house the other day, and I hear somebody with a blower. We had a gentleman that literally walked all over town with a blower just to blow the gravel off the sidewalks. Like, they're for real. They do a great job. So kudos to the staff. They have done a fantastic job.
Mike Cochran, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just, I mean, they really get after it, and, you know, it's just, we're just very blessed to be here and to have such quality staff. Really makes it a whole lot easier. So, yeah, but, no, it definitely is a huge difference once you left the town. Because for the life of me, I couldn't understand why we have some of the snow days that we have, and then I realized it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, moving right down the list, our last thing on our agenda here, it looks like it's going to be appointments to boards and committees. I don't know, do you all think that we need to go into closed session for this, or is it something that we can handle out here?
I'm not aware of any reason.
I think we got it.
We got?
Yeah.
Derek, we sort of went over.
Yeah, we kind of, yeah, I mean, because it ended up we had even applicants for each, didn't we?
All right.
Exactly.
Well, Derek, if you want to go for
Sure,
it.
yeah.
We'll go for that right now, if that's okay, and Councilman Derek Webb is going to make the adjustments to the appointments of boards and committees.
Absolutely, and if it's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, I'll do them all at one time.
Yes,
Kinda
sir.
keep- okay, excellent. So I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Danny Owens to serve an additional term on the Tourism Advisory Board, as well as Dave Dalton to serve an additional term on the Tourism Advisory Board. On the Historic Preservation Review Board, we need to fill the expired term of Brooke Bunn and Christy Hartshorn, and Mr. Byram Giesler and Pam Atwell have both applied for appointment to the Preservation Review Board, so I would appoint those two. And then the Board of Zoning Appeals, we have a vacancy that Kenny Schuman has applied for, and reappointment of David Cody Johnson to serve an additional term on the BZA.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin.
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor, I think we do need to go into closed session to discuss an issue.
Okay,
You want me to read us in?
yes, ma'am.
As permitted by the Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provisions of legal advice by such counsel.
And with that,
We
we'll
need a
be,
second and a vote.
if I get a second. on
Make it
that.
second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Ms. Quetch,
Aye.
Ms. Pillion,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin,
Aye.
and Mayor Anderson.
Aye. With that, we will go into closed session.
Sure thing. Go for it. I move that the town council certify that in the closed session just.
Wait, to go back and over.
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody has to make a motion to reconvene. I'm going to make a motion to reconvene.
Second.
Any further discussion? Kim, if you'll please call roll.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Austin?
Aye.
And Mayor Anderson?
Aye.
I move that the town council certify that in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Mr. Webb, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Ms. Pillion?
I so certify.
Vice Mayor Austin?
I so certify.
And Mayor Anderson?
I so certify. With that being said, I will call this meeting to adjourn.
All right.
Okay.